All right, thank you very much, viewers of iRadio. We're here today with Dr. Ayak. She will introduce herself just for record purpose before we can continue with our interview. Introduction, name and titles, please.
Greetings to all the followers of iRadio. My name is Ayak Chol Alak. My expertise, I work as advisor for peace process support at Inclusive Peace for the Eastern Horn of Africa. So most of my work is focused around supporting state and non-state actors navigate political processes like peace processes, national dialogues, transitional justice, constitution making. Before that, I was Deputy Coordinator for Civil Society during the High Level Mediation Forum. And I was also Head of Research at the Strategic Defense and Security Review Board.
Now, Dr. Ayak, let's have your perception and your assessment on the ongoing Tumaini initiative. Where are we from the process? And tell us the atmosphere and share with us what has been discussed so far based on your understanding.
Thank you, Emmanuel. The process has just entered its second month. It's just a month today, actually. And I can say this of the process, that the process is hopeful, as it is tumaini, it is hopeful. The process is issue focused. The process is not position focused. It is not focusing on power sharing. And the process truly has the interest of the people at heart. Now, this process has allowed for a lot of truth-telling and honesty and transparency. Coming into the process, government delegation acknowledged failure. Opposition and armed groups acknowledged failure. And we too, as stakeholders and civil society, acknowledge our role in the failure. And so I think that is always a good place to start when everybody recognizes the role that they might have played institution-wise or individually to what has contributed and how they've contributed to the situation in South Sudan. What I also like about the process is previously there was fear of coming to Kenya, especially as activists. Very high profile political activists have disappeared from Kenya. And so there was a bit of hesitancy to come here. However, the Kenyan government has really gone above and beyond, to secure the venue and secure the process. Most of these high-ranking generals, particularly who were thought to be at threat, have been given detailed security personnel to follow them. Including even active members of the stakeholders who are in exile. They've also been attached to security details. We also see that access to the venue is quite restricted, especially to the venue of the talks. There is heightened security. You have to have your badge, your name has to be at the door, your identity is confirmed, you pass through a scan. And so in terms of security, there should be minimal, if at all, concern about the security. So there is that. The process kicked off, of course, with trying to set the agenda along the key thematic areas that had been identified in the Rome process. And that is the justice, the economy, the governance and policy, as well as the security sector reform. So those three thematic areas, we deliberated on them as the delegates to the process and have come up with issues that we feel are pertinent to delve deeper into. Along the way, there was also provision for trust and confidence building. And that exercise was facilitated by the eminent personnel and the church. And as much as we know that trust takes time, it's a process. I can say that this exercise created a platform to bridge the social barriers. And so socially now, we can see the different delegates interacting freely. However, of course, there is still suspicion. Of course, confidence is going to take time. And
the confidence and trust building matrix was not actually signed and was not initialed by the parties.
True, it has not been initialed yet. There was an agreed 12-point agenda with clear metrics, and yes, there's a bit of contention over some of the issues, but they're waiting initially.
Right. Now, Ayak would also want to know from your experience here, the issue of agreements after agreements, and people of South Sudan have almost lost hope in the revitalized peace agreement, and the government back home there, it's talking about elections, yet we are having another process happening here now. So what can the people of South Sudan really understand from this process when people are also talking about elections in December this year?
One is elections won't happen in December because all the prerequisites for elections have not been done. And so it is good to be honest and practical about the fact that it is highly unlikely that there would be elections. However, this process might actually pave the way for elections. And so there is that. In terms of the fears over the process and its implementation, I would like to put that back to our leaders, because ultimately all these processes where they have failed in implementing, it is as a result of their failure. It was not the citizens that had to implement. Those provisions were very clear that it was signatories to the process that were assigned to implement them. And so the issue is not about discussing processes. The fear is always around implementation. And so what is unique about this process is this time we're discussing implementation. We're discussing on challenges to implementation and how to improve on implementation and what other strengthening modalities, tools, and mechanisms might be needed to strengthen implementation. So now we realize that the issue is on implementation, and that's where the focus is.
And also, Ayak, before we can wind up our conversation, what are we going to have tomorrow? I understand there was more than 70-page document. We don't want to discuss the details of the document, but then we understand tomorrow something is going to happen about the document after the mediators actually presented, give the report to the parties. What are we expecting tomorrow?
So over the week, on Friday, on the weekend, the mediation secretariat, the mediation through its secretariat, handed over to all parties a 72-page document that was summation of all the contentious issues along the 4 thematic areas that I've just mentioned. We have been tasked to critically look at all these issues and ensure that they truly reflect what we have expressed. Because again, these issues were compiled by a third party who are not delegates to the process. And so we have had the weekend to scrutinize these 72 pages. Tomorrow, there will be a reflection over these pages. There will be projection, and all parties will again look at the document. We will try to see if the language captures what we're expressing, if the text captures what we're expressing, and then it will be taken forward from there. So tomorrow it's going to be a long day of going over the text and ensuring that it is reflective of what we have identified as issues.
Right. What's your last message, especially to the people of South Sudan back home there from the Tumaini initiative here?
My message is this is our process. It might be held in Kenya, it might be hosted by the Kenyan government, but it is our process. There is no process that succeeds without people ownership. And so even as we sit here to negotiate on the behalf of our citizens the ultimate responsibility on holding accountable leaders on implementation or lack thereof lies with the citizens. So please follow this process carefully. Tune in to the social media, listen to what the leaders are saying, channel your questions through media and other forums, and engage with these leaders. I know some of you have access to these leaders individually or through the parties. Engage them, let them know your opinion, let them know what your expectations are of the process. Don't distance yourself from the process. There has to be an element of what the citizens expect out of that process. Engage through radio and through social media. Let your opinions of this process be known. Even as there are discussions on these thematic areas, if you hear that people are discussing the economy, make your opinions shared. We have seen a lot of individuals and groups develop opinion papers that they think are useful. Channel them through some of the delegates that are in the room, and we too will make sure that some of your opinions are reflected.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ayak, for speaking to our radio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Good. All right.